Hey, banana, football. The Simpsons. There we go. This is NFL Straya, I guess. Simpsons Straya. I think we could actually just do a Simpsons show as well. But I am your co-host, Jaymz Clements. I'm a guy here in Larry Armour Studios. You can see me on a bunch of other things. NBA Straya, the official NBL Supercoach show. But really, we're just here to talk football. And joining me, as per usual, on the other side of this here's screen. That's right, because I'm not in the studio, I think, for the first time this year, maybe. A bit weird.
Nah, you did your solo podcast way.
Yeah. Over there, that's a bloke. He's the sometimes singer in a band called The Ramshackle Army. Here's your mate. He's my mate. It's Gaz. Gaz, what's going on?
Hey Jim, how you doing? I'm doing all right. I'm just recovering from just another painful Cowboys loss that happened about half an hour ago. So yeah,
I like that you're recovering from football, and I'm recovering from little Jimmy's big week of going to see bands and stuff like he was bloody 17 again, and he is not 17 again.
I went to a Gaslight last week with very little notice, and I got off my couch with I got told at 8:30 that I was on the door, and I was there at 5 to 9 after I was sitting here at basketball for shorts with a whiskey, Jim, and I got there and I got down the street and I got and saw Gaslight Anthem, and they were great. But apparently at a festival stage, some people said they were a little bit boring. But
I, to be honest, saw them last time in New York it was raining. It rained on Friday when I saw the festival as well. They were horrible last time I saw them. They were much better this time around. I enjoyed it. So there you go.
Yeah. I had the same vibe last time. That's why I didn't pay to see them, and then you got to see your 311, Jim. The reference that you always throw into NBA Straya.
I'll tell you what, it was awesome. I had so much fun, and then saw them again at Good Things on Friday, and had just as much fun again. It was unreal.
Wow. There you go.
Mastodon playing for an hour at Good Things was unreal. I really enjoyed that.
There you go.
Obviously seeing Frank Turner twice in a week was really nice and very fun. Tell you what, Korn. They've certainly got 4 good songs.
How is that? How's the controversy of? I know this is not a music program, but how's the controversy of Electric Callboy? That some people are like, that's not what we're here for, but they're really popular. I don't have a fucking clue who these people are.
I love it. It's like, hello guys, we are German. We're playing the metal techno. Now dance! And you're like, oh God, this is awesome. Every person there under 25 was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Everybody over 25 is like, what the fuck is this? Awesome.
Excellent.
Anyway, good stuff. This is apparently the NFL Straya.
NFL Straya.
We're just going to talk about music the entire time. In a surprise twist, a music journalist and a singer in a band actually have some vibes. We're going to do the Week 14 wrap. We've got nails. We've got the weekly awards. We've got a little bit of fantasy. We've got the Week 15 picks. I think my favorite part of this week is the Week 15 picks, because after a pretty crummy week this week where we had 6 teams on buys, we had some awesome games this week, but it was a lot of other very bad ones. Whereas next week, absolutely awesome. So
crackers.
We'll wrap that up for you in one very dumb NFL Straya package. So I guess we should get into it. Episode 114 of NFL Straya. Oh, let's go! God damn it, you goddamn kicker. I'm gonna kick your goddamn ass. Come over here. I'm gonna throw my hat. I hate you so. I hate kickers so goddamn much. I'm gonna slap you sideways, boy. Oh, g'day. I'm the Rizzler, and you're listening to NFL Straya. All right, Gaz. First off, I've got a couple of problems with the Rizzler. Darren Rizzy yelling at our beloved Matty Hayball. It's like, come on, man. He's a rookie kicker. Like, just get off his fucking back, mate. Like, what are you doing? He's a rookie punter. He had a bit of a rough one. It got called back anyway, bro. Just fucking settle down, mate. I love it, though. My favorite thing is when you get so angry, you quite literally throw your hat on the ground and it's like almost stamp on it. And it's like, there's no way to pick your hat back up.
Are you a cartoon character?
Yeah, it's basically, he's a Simpson. That is like a Simpsons thing. It's like, Karn, sorry it. Throwing his hat on the ground. But anyway, outside of that, it was a weird week 14 because we started off awesome with a wicked Thursday night football game. And then it goes to the Simpsons game on Monday Night Football, which was
That extremes.
pretty strange. Not a game that you'd be telling your kids about in terms of football, but it was at least an interesting... Like, I like that they didn't flex a good game into this Monday night game, right? Like, we know this is going to kind of suck. It's Dallas, it's Cincy. We'll just roll
We
with
don't mind fucking with you. Yeah.
So in between, a couple of crummy games, a couple of good ones. In terms of news, the Kansas City Chiefs continue to be kissed on the dick. How does it keep on happening? Like, I quite literally ask this every week, Gaz. This time we got a doink at the end of the game to win it. So not only have they blocked a field goal to win a game, they have now had, AOC throw it off his own face last week to win a game. You've also now got a doink that just bounces in because fucking why not? They're the Chiefs, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, just... I know we'll talk about the game itself, but you were like, and it did help me with my one of the picks that I did get because I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go with this Chargers defense to actually keep them constrained, and they pretty much did for a lot of the game. And then you're like, of course they're gonna lose this via a field goal, and then you just saw it bend. And you're like, oh fucking hang on, doink, and of course it went in. Any other team it would have bounced out, but anyway, that's where we are.
Crazy. Outside of that, I mean, other bits of news. We had a bunch of injuries this week, which sucks. We'll talk about that in a second. The big one for me earlier on in the weekend was Bill Belichick being thrown around as the Tar Heels coach in North Carolina. He's like, screw it. I'll just run my own program like I was running an NFL team. And then he came out, I was like, yeah, it'd just be a pipeline to the NFL. I'm like, that's a pretty good way to get good recruits.
And new girlfriends, Jim.
Yeah, true. It's like you're just swimming in a whole new pond up there.
Yep.
Still, I hate it. I'm like, Belichick's not a fucking college. This is stupid. Just like, this is great leverage. I get it. It's like, I just might go to college. It's like, just the Bears should just fucking pony up for Bill Belichick. Like, whatever. The Giants should just pony up for Bill Belichick. He's going full circle kind of vibes. Just one of these shit teams, just go get Bill. Fuck off. Stop being idiots.
Vrabel's been thrown around again for the Bears.
Vrabel, Belichick, just go get a fucking decent coach, idiots. Anyway, I don't want to have to be a North Carolina fan, but anyway, I don't think I would be either way. Deontay Johnson was suspended after we did last week's show, which was pretty weird because he just fucked off and didn't want to play. Yeah,
I mentioned it last week as a weird, in the injury section because I had nowhere else to put it. I did misspeak and call him Steelers Deontay Johnson rather than the Ravens. It actually happened in a game versus my team, and I fucking got the team wrong. But yeah, just don't turn up, right? You're in a playoff caliber team. You went from when the Steelers were shit to a Super Bowl potential hopeful team, and now you don't want to take the field with
on the Panthers in between, right? And it's just like, bro, you're in a way better position than you were, and you're still having a sook. Look, at some point, the asshole is you, right? Everyone around you is always an asshole. The asshole is actually you. I can't speak to that. It's never happened to me, right? So the entire vibe is like, bro, just settle the fuck down. And the entire Ravens thing is just like, yeah, look, we've got the bye this week. He's got his week off as well. We're fucking done. That's where we're moving past it. You're like, okay, sure. That's a team that could definitely use Deontay Johnson. Speaking of pissy wide receivers, Gaz, AJ Brown.
I don't believe. We said it before we were on. I don't really believe it. He was open a couple of times, and there was a couple of weird plays that Hurts had in this game. But they're in the middle of a 9-game streak. Fucking Saquon broke Shady's team record with 4 games to go, and he's on target for Dickerson's. He also, the comments that he made at his locker, there was a bit of a smirk on his face. So, yeah, I'm sure he's annoyed that he's not, the putting up the numbers that he historically has. But I'm sure that you'd take finishing the season with only 2 losses and on your way to a deep playoff run better.
Yeah, I think he's okay. I don't think he's going to storm out and just like refuse to play. Like,
yeah, it was a lot different when the offense was stale last year with Brian Johnson as a coordinator, and he still wasn't getting the ball, and we were losing. That's a fucking problem.
Yep.
But realistically, no, we're okay.
Yep. Outside, there's two other little ones I wanted to hit on. Kickers. We hit on this last week. Like, it felt like earlier on the season, no one could fucking miss. Now it feels like no one can fucking kick a field goal. Unless apparently you're just some random dude the KC Chiefs pick up off the fucking street. Who's already been on 2 teams this year and like is just doinking shit in. But it felt like it's becoming more and more prevalent as it gets colder and colder and colder. But I think this week just stood out to me, like watching all of the Monday slate. You know, you're up there at 5 a.m., iPad sideways, headphones in, so as not to wake old mate, that sort of gear. And it's just like red zone felt like at one point was cutting from a missed field goal to a missed field goal to a missed PAT to then another missed field goal. You're like, what is going on? This is insane. And it kind of just kept happening throughout the day as well. It was just like, hang on a second. It's like an endemic like this. It's spreading. This is weird. So that was kind of bizarre, I felt. Yeah. It might have also been because there was less games because you got 6 teams on the bye that you sort of, there's more focus, I guess, on each of these games, and yeah, we had some missed ones.
Yep.
But outside of that, I think we sort of got down. So we've got injuries to get to, but also the playoff seeding. This is where it gets really, really interesting. And I feel like I do my weekly article for News Corp, goes out, and it's like, yeah, playoff seeding is now like, this is the week where like the rubber really hits the road because Buffalo lose, right? And that's a tough one up in trying to like pin down KC for the 1 seed.
Yep.
KC skate through by the edge of their dick against the Chargers, and Pittsburgh like are just sort of lurking. Sure.
Yep.
And then the NFC is even more chaos because it's like the Lions can't have one misstep because the Vikings are right behind them and they play again. And obviously there's your team. They're pretty good too, and just don't lose anymore.
Well, we're also playing Pittsburgh this week. So adds another level of chaos because someone's got to lose. So, yeah, it's all getting spicy.
Yeah, because KC, it feels like they've just about locked away the 1 seed because they're 2 losses up on everybody else, right? Like Buffalo and Pittsburgh are 10-3. They're 12-1.
Mm-hmm.
But the NFC is like, yeah, you've got one lost team and two lost teams, which feels like a very college football way to talk about things, but it's how it is at this point. We've talked about it all year. There's a pointy end of the NFL and then the big creamy shitty middle. Like everybody's in the big creamy shitty middle. It's like, I don't know, you've had a couple of big nights on the Terps and done some of those big creamy shitty middle bits ones. So.
Yeah, that's true. But I was funny tying it all back to fantasy. There's this, it's getting to that weird point of the season where did some maths. Obviously some big games by Josh Allen's got a few teams skating through. Mine this week, but not for the rest of the season. But realistically, if Philly beats Pittsburgh this week and KC continues to win, well, in theory, there's a world where Buffalo don't have anything to play for. They've sewn up the number 2 seed in the last 2 weeks, and all of a sudden, everyone's fantasy football Super Bowl, Josh Allen may be rested.
I think we finish ours in week 17 to sort of avoid those ones.
Avoid that, yeah. So it's very rare for it to, for people to be rested for 2 games, but it has been done. So that'll be chaos.
Pretty fun.
Like everyone having a bye this fucking week when it was the last week of the regular season for most fantasy leagues.
But the schedule makers aren't taking any like fantasy into account, which is just jerkish.
I know.
Outside of that, as we alluded to at the top, injuries had some crummy ones this week, Gaz.
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks. I was during the Eagles game, and I saw it straight away and went, "That's not fucking great," because he didn't even make it back to the line. It was a non-contact injury, and he went down, and that's his second ACL in 12 months.
Yeah, so he did it in the college season last year, like November. Came back, got drafted by Carolina, and the second round came back.
Yeah, they stashed him for a little while.
And boom, does his ACL again. And you're like, that just sucks. So.
Yep, 100%. David Derek Carr has gone off, so he decided he was to do his best Taysom Hill impression and leap over a bunch of dudes, landed on his wrist, and his hand broke his left hand. and also hasn't in concussion protocol at the same time. So he's definitely going to take a few weeks off with the hand. But realistically, at this time of the season, you're fucking Dunskies anyway. So
TAKEHOUSE, he just wanted to go on holiday early.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm fucking done
It's
here.
like Eberflus cocking that game up and just going, you know what? Just fucking sack me. I'm not coming back. Just let me go on holidays.
The Raiders are 2-10. What's it matter? He's just like, dude, I don't care.
Yeah. Guarendo, the 49ers third string rookie running back, come in on the back of Jordan Mason and CMC and put up over 100 yards, and then he went out as well, so he may not be able to go next week. Pickens has got a bit of a hammy thing going on, so we'll see what happens with him, but obviously that's going to be big going in the Eagles game this week. And what have you got? Did you add all of Dallas?
It just watching that game against Cincy today. It's like, another guy's gone off, and it's like they lost. They're under their fourth O-line, their fourth string O-line dudes, and just it's horrible. But
they've also said that big one for Dallas, even though they've got no chance of making the playoffs. Zach Martin's got season-ending ankle surgery, and this was going to be his last season anyway. So that was Micah was saying we want to get a ring for people like Zach Martin.
The
and
AOC Aiden O'Connell knee bruise.
Oh yes, I missed that. I skipped over that.
It looked way worse. So it came out today that it was a knee bruise, and you're like, Jesus, that was the worst, most painful looking knee bruise I've seen. So, not great. Anyway, this is the sort of tough time of year as well. Just you just don't, if you're a playoff team, you're just don't get injured. Just nobody. You should just take it a little bit easy. You don't want to, that's why the George Pickens thing, when he was out for the Steelers and they just had zero problems anyway.
Yeah.
That's probably fine. It was I think this is the time of year when they're like, oh, he's going to try to play, Lad McConkey, same sort of thing with the Chargers, right? It was like, oh, questionable. And then they're like, fuck it. No, we're not going to risk it.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. All right, let's do some week 14 wraps. What a week it was to start off with. We had Green Bay, Detroit. So I was at good things while this was going on, and you're messaging me going, can't believe what's happening. And I'm like, I'm not watching it.
Yep.
I'm currently watching 311, and now I'm going to go see. It's the Living End played after them, and they had a huge crowd. It was crazy. I'm like I feel like we've all seen the Living End a lot of times. They are really, really good.
Yeah.
But there are other bands, right? Like Frank Turner's playing the same amount of people he was playing to the SB on Tuesday.
Oh, fuck.
But it was a little bit bigger, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then Jet were playing at some point. I'm like, I don't really care. I should actually be watching the football at this point. But it was, however, an awesome game because I was that destroyed on Saturday morning. Jim went back and watched it. So it was just a nice little Saturday morning treat to myself, hungover, not looking after the squids. 34-31, Gaz, and this game was sick.
It was
sick. It was a shootout. It was fun. It was chaos. And Detroit, I believe, goddamn, every which way they got them.
There was the thoughts before this game was it's not about what you're going to find out about Detroit. It's about what you're going to find out about the Packers because Detroit went into this with 15 defensive players on IR. It was like a record kind of shit. And you're like, oh, well, if they can't get them up now, then they've got no hope. All they have to do is this defense for the secondary for the Packers has been good, right? David McKinney and that's it. If they can just get them somewhat tight, then this should be okay. And it wasn't, Jim. It was 10 zip, and then it was kind of they kept ahead of them, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is done. And next minute, here come the Packers, right? And it was fucking great. It was great.
It finishes in the walk-off Jake Bates field goal, and it's just short, but it came after a bunch of, hey, do you want to see how big my nuts are? Moves from Dan Campbell, which is just the classic Dan Campbell. He's always like, hey, you want to see how big my nuts are? It's like, not really, Dan. We all know how big they are. They're very large. He's like, here you go anyway. And you're like, okay. The 4th and 1 calls, I don't fucking care. We're just going for it.
But it was so fucking, it wasn't just the 4th and 1 call. It was that Jared Goff fell over, Jim. That could have very easily been a fumble, and then everyone would have gone, fucking Dan, what are you doing? He fell over, knee went down, fucking handed off the ball. His foot got stepped on by the linemen. So of course, all the conspiracy theorists were like, where were the refs that should have been down? Even though he wasn't fucking touched by a fucking defender. And everyone started to claim everyone who was on the negative side claim that, when the quarterback goes down immediately on his knee, that's giving up and the fucking play's dead. And that's fucking
just facing the other fucking way. There's
the difference between giving yourself up. It's like someone tripping over versus someone going for a slide is not giving yourself up, right? So
the best way I saw it explained is like, if a running back isn't touched and just like, dodges and falls over, he's not down, right? And it's the same with 100%. Like a pass catchers, like caught the ball, run, hasn't been touched, and like does a juke and like falls over, or in the process of catching the ball, his knee hits the ground. He's not fucking down, is he? He's not touched yet.
100%.
It was he wasn't giving himself up. So I loved it. It was an awesome game, and I'm like, just sign me up for a playoff game of this caliber. Like, if Green Bay get through, who knows if there'd actually be a matchup of this? But A, love it. B, incredible uniform matchup. One of the best. Just all time stuff. So I love that. A game not as good as that one. Tennessee 6, Jacksonville 10. Yeah, this fucking sucked. So let's move on. I would like to say, however, thank you to the Jags, because they're just like, they can't get out there and weigh at this point. It's like, hey, we're basically we're equal pegging with like everybody on the number one pick. And then like, let's beat Tennessee for no reason. It's like, just keep jagging. Oh, I love it. Good on you.
I was unreasonably focused on the Eagles game because it was closer than I was expecting at that time of getting up at 5 a.m. And you start messaging me going, ha ha, fucking Jags. And I'm like, I can't even focus on it. Dear God.
So good. It was so good. Because now, like, my point, obviously, the Pats are 3-10. And I'm like, I want as many more teams to keep winning that aren't the Pats as possible, so their pick gets better.
Yep.
Because there are only now 2 teams worse than them in the NFL, and that's the Giants and the Raiders. How much time are you spending on Tankathon, Jim? It's a lot.
Yeah, enough.
It's a lot. The thing is, like, I don't really care about the 1-2 picks, etc., because there's no, like, we're vaguely set for QBs, etc. So just as long as we're in that top 10, I'm kind of happy. It doesn't really bother me, but I'd also rather have the higher picks. Just,
of course.
Your fucking pick of the litter. So great job, Jags. This game fucking sucked. Whatever. Another game that sucked, but for very different reasons. Miami 32, the Jets 26. This game was fucking horrible. Like, you go to 32-26 in overtime. That's a mate. No, it was horrible. It was a horrible game where Miami had just kind of shithouse, and they won anyway because the Jets are fucking horrible, guys.
How the fuck? Like, I've never seen a team have so many leads and still end up losing as the Jets. Like, and like, I guess, strong performances in the first half where you're like, this is the game where it's all clicking. And then in the second half, it's just like, just falls off a cliff. Just they stop playing. I just don't get it. And now it's 14 seasons in a row, missing the playoffs. And they ask Aaron Rodgers about that, and he says, is there a question? Like, have you got any comments? He says, well, I've been here for one of those. Well, 2, but we all know what happened in the first one.
Yeah. He was typically engaging and warm and not a massive dickhole.
Nah.
He answered that question. Oh, no, wait. He was a complete massive dickhole.
Yeah. But he's got his fucking documentary coming out, Jim.
He's got his documentary, and he finally threw for 300 yards in a game for the first time since 2021. So congratulations, Aaron. You're doing great. What team do you reckon he ends up on next year? Because the Jets just have to burn this to the ground, don't they? They're just
fucking oath. But now they've got all of his mates. What are they going to do? Because Alan Lazard's not going to want to play with anyone else. Devontae Adams doesn't want to play with anyone else.
Devontae Adams has got an out anyway, so it's just like they kind of just burn that trade. So anyway, ridiculous. Miami, like, at least amazingly enough. So I had my 4 favorite picks. I actually won on just the betting stuff Monday morning. And like 3 of them were just ridiculous how they actually won. One of them was obviously Miami. They were like, what was it? It was 6.5 when we talked last week. It moved to 5.5 when I actually was betting it that day. And they covered because they threw a fucking touchdown in overtime to win by 6. So Jonnu Smith, you legend. Tua, thank you. Tyreek Hill, stop having kids. I don't know. Like, he's just gone to shit. It's crazy. And Jalen Waddle looks slower than me at this point. I'm like, bro, what is happening? So, Miami, we've got this sort of Dunsky list, and Miami are basically Dunsky, but they do have like this vibe where they're just going to play spoiler the rest of the way, maybe, or they might just be shit the rest of the way. You just don't know.
Both of those could be true.
They're 6-7. It's crazy. Atlanta, Minnesota, the Kirk Cousins Bowl, 42-21, and this was close, and then it was not at all close. Jeez, the Vikings just ran over the top of them. It was hilarious to watch it too. Because Jordan Addison went, I might just have a really big day. What do you reckon? And everyone's like, yeah, why not, bro? Like, there was one where he kind of, slipped over, or was it Darnold sort of underthrew it, and Addison just sort of came back to it, skipped through two dudes and had a touchdown, like untouched. You're like, what the fuck just happened? So he was pretty good. 3 touchdowns, 133 yards. And the other bloke there, Justin Jefferson, not bad. 2 touchdowns and 132 yards. You got to get bragging rights of 133 versus 132 and 1 extra touchdown, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You do. You also have to be pretty happy. Like, sorry, I'm looking at Kirk Cousins stats now. I wanted to add a comment onto the offense of the Vikings, but I just went, so Kirk's thrown no touchdowns, 8 interceptions in his last 4 games.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
It's amazing.
Like, considering that they can still make the playoffs, we're still like at a point in the world where, because of their couple of wins over the Bucks and Derek Carr stinking it up and the Panthers being the Panthers, that this may still happen for the Falcons.
It's so close though, because you got the Bucks at 7-6 and you've got the Falcons at 6-7. So yeah, the Bucks can't afford to screw up in any way, shape, or form. But the problem is Atlanta also look just dog shit.
Dog shit.
So Bijan's like, what the hell, man? Like, this is horrible fun. Like, Drake London is like having to force catches at times. There was that weird call in that game where it's like, that's an interception. He's like, no, I touched it first. And then we all hit the ground. And you're like, oh, sure, whatever. They got their ass kicked. We'll talk about this a little bit more later, but Darnold is a weapon. 347 yards, 5 touchdowns. Didn't think I'd say that this year.
No.
A mate of mine was at this one. 14, the New Orleans Saints. 11, the Giants. Another game that finished in a blocked field goal in a game that you're like, this is just like, so my buddy is over there. I'm like, of all the games to go to, you went to this. It's just oof. And then the way it finished, he's just like, the Giants fans, just all 8 of them remaining are just like, dude, bro, what the hell? We did have the plane flying over as well. Mr. Mera.
Yeah.
This fucking tire fire.
Yep.
Whatever it was.
The Giants paper bags over their heads at the end of the game. It was, it was just very sad.
I don't think we need to talk on too much. Like, the Giants are horrible and the Saints are still some hint of alive, but whatever.
Yeah, weird.
22, Philly, Carolina 16. Whoa, guys. I literally have it here in my notes. Oh, boy.
Look, it was like they did like enough. Like, I kind of wasn't. It's weird to say because, they took the lead at one point, and I'm like, I actually still wasn't super concerned. I did think that we were going to come down and kick a field goal and just take that and try and wind it down. But this, the fact that we scored and went for 2, and that was happy days. But realistically, there wasn't a lot to say about this game. Like, Jalen Hurts threw for 2 touchdowns, and was 14 of 21, but only for 108 yards. Like, he barely used the wide receivers until it was like kind of, I just need an outlet. Can you just do a comeback route for like 5 yards to get this first down? Like, it was Saquon and Jalen Hurts and Kenny Gainwell rushed over 200 yards, and that was kind of it. Jalen Carter was just in the backfield causing chaos. And Bryce Young played well. Like, there was the drive that I thought was going to end it. Bryce Young is in his own end zone, chasing him around, and then this bomb goes down to Leggett, and then there's another one. Was it to Leggett, that one? And then a little bit further down, he's gone the other bomb to Leggett that if it was held, it would have been a touchdown. And then he dropped the ball, Jim. And then we tightened up.
He's going to pop up again later, but shit.
Yeah. And then tighten screws down. Winners win. Panthers are not. So, yeah, I'm glad that we escaped out of that one. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we show up against the Steelers, because if we show up that way, it's not going to be fucking great.
I'm glad we hit on Bryce Young last week as well. We were like, I think he's not shit. And
yeah, he wasn't.
Really fucking good in that game. So, enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good.
Good stuff. Cleveland 14, Pittsburgh 27. Wasn't even that close. This was 27-7 most of the game. Pittsburgh just put it into like cruise control. And Jaymz is like, my cruise control is 140 miles an hour weaving through traffic. You're like, oh, cool. And it was chaos for a lot of the game. And like that was what kept this one like watchable, even though Cleveland seemingly never had a fucking chance. It was always still like, but Jaymz is going to do something weird. Check this out. And Pittsburgh just fucking clamped him down anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, Steelers D, that offense when it clicks looks awesome. They look unreal. There's still a part of me that doesn't quite trust the offense enough in a tight spot, but you just know that they're going to keep, like if it comes into like one of those weird arm wrestle games, it's kind of hard not to go, I think they might still fucking win it because that defense is just that good. So, anyway, another game we have to touch on too much. Tampa Bay 28, Raiders 13. Vegas are literally just depressing at this point. The Bucs just went, fucking see that over there? Well, bang! Punched him in the back of the head and it was all over. Yeah, the Raiders are horrible.
Yeah, up 14. Like Vegas came back a little bit to make it look respectable at halftime, and then at the beginning of in the fourth, it was just Baker just went, all right, enough now.
Like because I had I was riding pretty high on this one because I have Bucky Irving, I think, in the the 5-leg anytime touchdown scorers, the one that we do each week, and I was like, let's go Bucky. And, of course, they went to Rashad White all game. And I'm like, God damn it, you're killing me. And then I also had Mike Evans, and he looked really good. And then he never got a touchdown either, which was a bit of a bummer. And you're sort of sitting there going, oh, are they going to cook this? And then they just went, no, we're not going to cook it. We're fine. And just like held them off and then just went and put the foot down and smashed them. This game was fun. Seattle 30, Arizona 18. We kind of were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. It's like, are the Cards for real? It's like they're about to hit this insane patch of their schedule. Oh, I don't know. We're going to find out in 2 weeks. Boom, it's 2 weeks and they're basically cooked now, Gaz. So it was basically back-to-back interceptions that turned into touchdowns that completely fucked them out of the gate. So
yeah, 100%.
Good job, Seattle. They look awesome. The defense is sort of rounding into shape right now. More importantly, getting healthier. Yeah, and they rode Zach Charbonnet and shit. So just
Charbonnet looks sick. What, nearly 200 yards?
No Kenny Walker, no hassles. Boom, off they went. And yeah, I did not trust Arizona in that spot whatsoever. The weird thing is they play the Pats next week, and I'm like, yeah, I got no idea what's going to happen in that game. Like, zero. But I do love that. I think that was now, my Seattle preseason over has now hit because they were only at 7.5. So one of those fun days where you look at the thing and go, why have I got more money? Oh, and you go back through like a million fucking things and go, there it is. Yeah. Cool, fun game. But this might have been the best game of the year, question mark. One of the most fun ones. The most high-scoring game of the year, at least. 42, Buffalo. Rams, 44. Josh Allen set an NFL record, becoming the first man in history for 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. He lost and probably won the MVP in the process.
It was fucking wild. And needless to say, what was it? It's like 424 yards total, as well as like he was a fucking machine. He was just absolutely insane.
And yet they completely fucked it at the end, and they probably still could have won this game, but they run that stupid QB sneak. Tom Brady calling this is all over. He's like, yeah, you don't run a QB sneak. The only thing you can't do is run a QB sneak here. And Sean McDermott, who was a candidate to be at the top of this show to introduce the show, I'm Sean McDermott, ran a fucking QB sneak because that meant they had to burn a timeout, which meant that they basically could not win the game from there. So anybody who has I don't know, I do a lot of drinking and yelling at the TV watching football. I've spent a lot of my adult life doing this. And even everybody who does that is looking at this going, yeah, don't run a QB sneak because it'll fuck you clock and if you don't get it, you're fucked. And then they ran a QB sneak, and you're just like, what?
What did you do that for?
But you're getting paid to be smart. I'm an idiot. Like, this is fuck. Anyway, that pass that he had to Amari Cooper that just fell into the breadbasket between. Oh, what a game. This was awesome. Stafford was on fire. Puka Nacua was
off his head. Yep.
Where he had 162 yards. I didn't realize how many yards he ended up with, but that's just insane.
And 2 touchdowns, including 1 rushing.
Yeah, he had the on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Kyron Williams, I think, had the highest amount of missed tackles this week too, because he was just fucking running roughshod over everyone. But from a meta point of view, I think the Bills, this is kind of like the game that you're always worried about from their defense, right? Like, you've still got injuries that you're dealing with. You go east to west. They've also been traveling, I feel like, a bunch. And spoiler alert, we sort of hit on this in last week's show. The dead legs after the snow game. Jim, they scored 42 points. Yeah. But still, defensively, they let up 44. So it was a crazy.
Funnily enough, Jim, the team who scores the most points is usually the guy who wins.
Yeah, typically. But that was an awesome game. Like, I had this. So it was a really nice time as well, right? Because that's like the late morning game for us.
Yeah.
And all we had outside of that, I think, was the Seattle Arizona game and the Niners Bears game, which is a fucking laugher. And so I had Buffalo Rams on the big screen, just watching every bit of it. I'm like, this is a great fucking game.
Yep.
Like, I'm clapping delightedly at points. I'm like, just beside myself. Because Niners Bears was over before anything. 38-13 wasn't even that close is the kind of joke here. They got outgained, did the Bears, 315 yards in the first half. 319-4. So, yeah. I don't think that dead coach bounce worked this time around, guys.
No, it didn't. It did not at all. And it was just fucking horrible. Caleb was trying to do shit by himself. I was panicking around my whole fantasy team, and I'm just like, just get the ball to Keenan Allen. You've got a Hall of Famer fucking there. And nothing happened.
Can I point out as well, so my 2 big fantasy leagues, I have Jaden Daniels in both, right? So QB, the thing is, I got Bo Nix as backup in both too. So anyway, he wasn't playing, obviously, also on a bye. In one league, I picked up Sam Darnold. In the other, I picked up Caleb Williams.
Oh, fuck.
One went really well.
Yeah.
The other one, not so fucking much. Oh, no. God. So good times, great memories. Anyway, 38-13. Are the Niners sort of still alive? There's a hint of a breath there, but the Rams winning makes it really fucking hard.
Really fucking hard.
Yep. Seattle won as well. It feels like the Niners are still a bit dead. But if you're a Niners fan, like, that's the sort of thing going, oh, okay. If we had lost this one, we had some big fucking questions we had to answer that I'm not sure if we want to yet. So
it was
Shanahan and go. So
yeah, I can't remember. It was one of the other analytical podcasts that know way more than we do. Was talking about how it's taken a couple of weeks worth of running back
podcast.
Yeah, I know, 100%. Of like, it's taken a couple of weeks of like repeated injuries for running backs before Shanahan's finally got out of that feature back mentality. Even though there was what did he put over like 100 yards from scrimmage on the ground, but it's when you can throw Debo back there, right, as your receiver, when you've got Kittle, like, who goes missing for weeks over the last couple of seasons, right, because they haven't been relying on the tight end. When you realize that you've got so many weapons to spread around, that it makes it uncoverable. And when they've been relying on that feature back for so long, for the last couple of seasons at least, gets back to that old Shanahan where you're like, what the fuck, man? How am I getting out of this?
Yeah. It was a weird one. But anyway, good job by the Niners.
Yep.
Bears.
Oh, my.
Yeesh. Oh, yeesh. Then we had a cracking game. 17, the Chargers. KC, 19, a.k.a. the fucking DOINK game. What are we doing here? It was bizarre because this game was, 6-0 at the half, he says, wanting to check. No, 13-0 because they had there was the touchdown late, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think 6-0, the Chargers are like, oh, we're doing all right. And then there's like the bullshit touchdown. You're like, oh, that's a bit of a kick in the dick. And then they managed to put together 2 really good drives, the Chargers, and drag it right back in. But that was the D-Hop touchdown at the end of the first half, right? You're like, this is just fucking classic goddamn KC where it's like, oh, we've stopped them. Oh, fuck, they scored a touchdown. You jerks. And away they go, right? And so Herbs, it felt like he was beset by receivers dropping passes left, right, and center. He didn't have Lad McConkey. Josh Palmer's just that dude. Oh, it's brutal. And Quentin Johnson's like the epitome of like, oh, dude, brutal.
Yeah.
And then they pulled together like these awesome touchdown drives back to back, and we're leading. And you're like, this is awesome. Let's go Chargers.
Go. Fuck yeah.
No run game because no J.K. Dobbins. Didn't matter. Herbs was slinging it. If he had fucking like any receiver that could catch a fucking ball, Gaz, I swear, Herbs would have taken this like 47 times out of 10. Like,
yep.
Frustrating if you're a Chargers fan, and then it gets down to right, like you do the right thing. You do the right thing the entire way. And then KC kick the fucking, it's what? They
DOINK.
both have field goals at the end, and then they doink their field goal in at the end. And
yeah, and they were holding Mahomes pretty well, but then there was that one or two plays that it just like, Kelsey went missing for a while, and then all of a sudden, just when he was needed, it was like the jump pass over the top kind of thing. It was
just
like
on his knees in the middle of the fucking.
Yeah, it's like after the first round. Fuck. All right, there you go.
Classic KC. Chargers. I'd be pretty pissy about that having lost it, but I think we can beat them.
You can go with them, yeah.
So, and then finally, 27 Cincy, Dallas 20 in the Simpsons game / also the normal game. We'll hit the Simpsons stuff in a second in Nars, but my favorite wager, I think, of the entire season in this game, I'm just like lock and load, bang, done. Jamar Chase to score a touchdown, CD Lamb to score a touchdown. It was the quickest a better's hit, I reckon, for me all fucking year. And I was stoked. I'm like, that just makes up for a horrible everything else. So, good job by me. Because I do believe I sent you a screenshot of another one that did not hit because Cooper Rush was just a little bit too shit.
He actually was playing all right in this game. Not in the second half. It was like CeeDee Lamb started out of the gates like a shot and then just kind of went MIA. But have they found their running back in Rico Dowdle after not having fucking anyone and going, you know what, Dalvin Cook and fucking Zeke Elliott, they'll get us through. Now they're nowhere to be seen.
In 2015.
Yeah, exactly. And Rico Dowdle's putting up 131. But that Chase Brown touchdown down the outside, it was not a touchdown. But a sprint down the outside, Burrow to Chase. The thing that pissed me off, Jim, right? And we'll talk about the, obviously, the way that game ended was fucking hectic, right? So, setting the scene, going in with my fantasy league, right? Dynasty league, about to make the playoffs. We playing IDP this year. The guy I'm playing has Pratt, the linebacker for the Bengals, and needs 8 points. He's got 7 points leading into the last drive, and I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. Like, they're about to punt the ball back to the Cowboys. The Cowboys have got a chance to come down here and win this game. It's 20-all. And then all of a sudden, blocked punt that then gets fumbled by Dallas when they could have just left the fucking ball alone. And next minute, fucking Bengals got the ball, mate. Bengals got the ball. So we're going, here we go. Bengals going to take in and win this game. And all they got to do is get within field goal range. They get inside the 50. And what do? Pass to Jamar Chase, who streaks down. Now, Jim, if that was a running back, what do they teach the running back to do?
Go down.
Go down at the 1. Go down at the 1. You're within field goal range. Happy day. Jamar Chase goes in, and you're like, if it was anyone but Cooper fucking Rush, you've just left them with a minute on the clock to take this to overtime or go. Like, you could have guaranteed the game, but Chase's ego got in the way.
Love it.
And they won't be brought up in the media, but I can tell you now, if it was a running back, they fucking would for sure.
I like this. I like your anti-diva wide receiver glory hog vibe.
Oh, no, it was more about, who was the one, Patterson, a couple of years ago, Patterson for the Falcons, where the defense was trying to allow, like actually dragged him in.
Yep.
And then they went down and won the game. I'm like, fuck, if they'd come back and somehow scored and taken it to overtime and Burrow had lost, like that would have been once again, things that hadn't gone the Bengals' way, but luckily this fucking did. They ended up sealing the game, and the Micah Parsons on the sideline after that fucking muffed punt, after they've just got, they've got Burrow off the field, they've held him, off we go, and then, Micah was not in a good way and left the field before the game was over.
Yeah. It was an absurd ending to like a game that was actually pretty entertaining. That had gone like those opening touchdowns. You're like, cool. And then they both stuck with each other. Was it 17-13 at the half or whatever? After a couple more touchdowns. A touchdown for the Bengals in the second quarter. And then it was just like a pretty gnarly arm wrestle down the stretch. And you're like, Adela's going to pull this. No. Oh, overtime question. No. Oh, God. And then boom, chaos ensues, and it was fucking awesome. I'm like, this is great. Because I was like, I'm going to take the NBA show after the game finishes, and I'm just like, I don't want to take the NBA show now. Fuck this. I want to go do NFL. But that was great. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's do some Number one is Kirk Cousins cooked. 8 interceptions, no touchdowns for last 4 games. Looks a shell of himself. Seemingly can't throw. I don't know. I never was really a big fan of the invest heavily in a QB who's coming off Achilles surgery, Gaz. But what do I know? Yeah, no.
No, yeah, he's fucking definitely sounds like it. I don't like the guy, right? Look, he's Jesus sweater, boring ass shirt, fucking, but more about his days at the fucking Washington, the whole you like that thing. Then there was the fucking the Vikings era, and because we were both pretty up there at the same time.
Thanks to Kirk.
Yeah, and then obviously the beginning of this year, I said at the time, if fucking Saquon holds that, if we hold the ball, then the Eagles have only lost 1 game. We give Kirk that chance to march down the field, scores an easy win there. Well, an easy win. He marched down the field. He actually earned that. But still, it's fucking Kirk Cousins. I don't particularly like him. Thought still, though, he was going to be that key to the Falcons this year, right? New coach, fucking the teams. You've got some high draft picks who are coming into their own. Someone who's actually going to use Kyle Pitts, making some moves on defense. Kirk, he's never won playoff games, but he's always been able to sling that ball around. He's been a fucking stats machine. This could be the thing that gets him over the line. But it was always a big risk on a guy who's fucking needs a plant foot and is torn his fucking Achilles, right? Like, obviously he was a statue pretty much anyway, but still, like, fucking big risk. And now you've got Penix. The fact that the murmurs are, do you start Penix now? And the rumors coming out of there's 2 camps obviously coming out of practice. One goes, Penix is slinging around. It's going fucking shit hot. And then who was it the other day? One of the former, do you remember? It was my former quarterback, former coach going, if Penix, based on what's going on now, if Penix was any fucking good, he'd be starting right now.
Sure.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because you pay Cousins a crap ton of money to come in, do your thing. And I'm going to talk about this again in Outback Takehouse. But the approach should be, it's like, he's getting paid a crap ton of money. And then he just goes to shit for like a stretch. And you're like, have we made a horrible mistake? What the fuck? I kind of think that's why he drafted Penix in the first place. So, speaking of which, injured other QB replacement steps in and is now really good. Sam Darnold. Is he the dude in mini now? What the fuck do you do here? 5 touchdowns, 347 yards. There are 10-2.
Like, it's a good problem to have, right?
He's got 11 touchdowns in his last 4 games. It's just like it's all clicking.
It's a crazy decision for them to need to make because, like, who knows how JJ's going to come back, right? So, and it's going to be too late. You can't, by the time it gets to training camp, not that they'll be waiting for that to assess him, but let's say there's still a little bit of rehab going into training camp. They've let Darnold walk in free agency, or are you making the decision that you're going to stash JJ, make him your Jordan Love, right? Yep. Like, good problem to have, right, of course.
It's a good problem to have. As long as Darnold doesn't turn back into a pumpkin, like he was kind of threatening to a month ago, and then he's been fucking awesome this last
Yeah. I mean, as we said way back in the beginning of the season, JJ can make Jefferson, not JJ McCarthy, can make a lot of people look good. Look what he did for Kirk.
Exactly. I mean, with this in mind, so as an Eagles fan, do the Vikings scare you? Yeah, nah.
Yeah, that receiving core does. I'll be interested. Yeah, they kind of do because they're always a bit sneaky. I liked it when they were talking a big game a few years ago, 2017, when they came into our home for the NFC Championship game and we sent them away because they put a jersey on the Rocky statue. Always goes well for teams. But anyone at the top of that, any of those top six, three that we mentioned before, got to be. You don't want to be happy when you're playing them any week because the Eagles can come out against anyone, but fucking Lions,
as long as you play them at home, I think you're okay, right? You feel okay, right?
Yeah.
If you go to Minnesota, I feel like you feel much worse about that match.
Yeah, and we've got a nice little run of not needing to get on a plane for the rest of the season. But I don't think there's any one of those top six teams that we mentioned, us being one of them, but those other five that I'm really comfortable playing, right? Steelers coming in this week is going to be fucking spicy. I know I felt the same way against the Ravens last week, but if we can come and walk away from the Steelers with a win, I'll be like, all right, let's go. But luckily, we don't have to play those top two NFC teams until the playoffs.
Well, the thing is, I think the Lions host the Vikings in the last week, so
that's going to be fucking sick.
It's pretty chaotic. I mean, they've already beaten the Vikings once already this year, right? So but that's going to be unreal. So you guys could be if the Eagles sort of just win out, and it's like, oh, if the Vikings drop one more and maybe they beat the Lions in week, who knows what could happen? You could end up with the 1 seed by the two best words in the English language, default. Speaking of which, Simpsons broadcast. Yeah, nah. So I actually watched a bit of it, and I don't know if you did, but
I think the fact that I didn't shows you exactly what I think of the Simpsons cast. I just don't fucking need it.
I found it weird. As you said, I don't need it. Wildly unnecessary. Like no one is like, you know what we really are. You know what is the absolute peak of the culture right now, like right at the very pinnacle of the zeitgeist? A 35-year-old sitcom cartoon.
Yeah, no. I think I got and that's why I think it was I don't need it, because when they did the Nickelodeon thing, you got it, right? They specifically had the instructions on simplifying the game for kids, and it was bright colors and all this sort of stuff, and there's a point to it. But yeah, The Simpsons, it just screamed marketing ploy for fucking adults who want something to do on their Monday night,
We're all owned by Disney. Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's like the technology was kind of funny. Like, okay, so Bart is on the field as a tailback. Is that an actual fucking player though? Or are we just substituting? Okay, so now the quarterback is Bart. So is that actually? Oh no. Okay, so that is actually Jamar Chase catching a ball as Ralph Wiggum from Bart Simpson, which is actually Joe Burrow. Oh, okay, right. This is just, and then Mose is, and they cut to Marge in the crowd. And I think the biggest problem with me and the Simpsons now-ish is they do that sort of stuff, and it feels so just recorded in a sound booth, stilted. And because all the voice actors are so fucking old now, their voices don't really resonate and match the characters, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Used to. Lisa doesn't sound like a small child anymore. It sounds like fucking Yardley Smith is 70.
Yeah.
He fucking is. Julie Kavanagh, same sort of shit. Even the Homer Simpson voice now for Dan, whatever, it's just a bit fucking janky.
Yeah.
So they did the booth, Mina Kimes and Dan Orlovsky, and I can't remember who was actually doing the call. But Orlovsky's the least fun dude. He's such a fucking dork.
You're he is.
Dude, fuck off. Mina Kimes awesome. She was they were dropping really good references. I enjoyed that. But it just felt so unnecessary. And I think just before we jumped on, I'm my biggest problem was the crowd noise never changed. It was this constant whine almost. And then you cut back to the actual ESPN broadcast. I'm like, oh God, thank fuck. Like, it was bizarre. So I like the idea. I like the concept, but I'd also rather just watch the football.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't when you reminded me of it, or I saw it at the end of the game and they cut through a couple of highlights and I'm like, I forgot about it and I didn't miss it at all. I didn't set my time to it.
Like, it was kind of fun with the other shit. It's like, it's halftime. Here's Lenny and Carl drinking beers and playing pool on the side of the thing. You're like, okay, which one's Lenny? Which one's Carl?
Yeah.
But yeah, the Mo, Ralph, it was just all a bit fucking weird. And like, I did like they're introducing like the offense, and it's like, Bart Simpson, University of South Melbourne. Yeah, that's right. You smell. It's like, oh,
Sure.
a bit hackneyed, but
Yep.
there's no University of South Melbourne. Nelson Muntz, Springfield Elementary Detention. That's pretty funny. The rest of them were just so like Herschel Krostovsky, Clown College, and then it's like brackets ACU, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. So it was fine. I just don't know who it was for, because Nickelodeon shit is just like making football fun for kids. This was like, I feel like the fucking Venn diagram of Simpsons fans who care about football and football fans who care about the Simpsons, and like it's just a circle, right? Like, who's watching the Simpsons now? There's no new younger generation. So
I downloaded one the other. I've downloaded I streamed legally. The Treehouse of Horrors, the last one for Halloween, and no, it wasn't.
Man, like, they're still doing it. That's fine.
Yeah,
I haven't watched the new Treehouse of Horrors.
Yeah, it was no.
Yeah, we go back and watch like a bunch of the older ones, and it's
Yep.
There you go. All right, good stuff. I don't think we have any other teams to add to the done list. The done list is already pretty massive of the Pats, Panthers, Browns, Giants, Titans, Raiders, Saints, Jets, Jags, Cowboys, Bears, Niners, Bengals, Miami, Like, Miami and the Colts are on the same thing, but it feels like the Broncos have probably got that one sewn away.
Yeah.
So it gets a little bit trickier there, but
it is now. We're now 2 weeks into. We're now into officials.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're into officially eliminated and officially clinched. So of course we've got New York. Sorry, Jets, Patriots, Browns, Jags, Titans, Raiders, Giants, all officially Gonski.
Yep.
Like not even mathematically. The ironic part about that is Dallas at 5-8. I think before today's game had a 2% chance of making the playoffs. That's going to be the best now. And now we've also got we've got some playoff clinching, which is Philly, Detroit, and the Philly and Detroit have clinched, and then we've got some divisions decided now, which is KC and Buffalo.
Yeah.
There's it's gonna be a fun run up to the end, because if you look at the Eagles, we haven't won the division yet, even though we've got a 3-game lead and a tiebreaker over Washington, because we've got Steelers and Commanders in the next 2 games, which you could lose both, and then all of a sudden it's only a 1-game difference with the commies. You've got Minnesota, as you touched on, is only 1 game behind the Lions, and they play each other in the last week. You've got Green Bay, who's 2 games behind, but you'd think, depending on what happens with the West, they should sneak in with a third wild card. And then you've got whatever the fuck's going on in the South.
This comes down to like Tampa Bay just not shitting themselves.
100%. But then it's the whole West is fucking chaos, right? Because you've got 2 games, all 4 teams within 2 games. Obviously, San Francisco's a little bit disadvantaged because they're 1-3 in the division, which is key. Yep. Fucking hell.
Which is why I think you can have the Niners on there, and you're very, very close to having the Cards on there, because they've lost twice already to Seattle.
Yep.
Even though they're 2 losses behind Seattle, and they've lost twice to Seattle. So.
Yep.
All right, good bloke of the week. Who are we buying beers? The Vikings White Chicks celebration was very cool.
That was pretty
I thought
cool.
that was pretty funny.
Mhm.
Josh Allen, as mentioned, first player ever with 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. I think you buy him a beer after that. And Isaac, in your Garendo, what a game. He was awesome, like in that Niners game. Absolutely fucking everywhere. And I probably want to get one for Sam Darnold too. Like just, God, he was good.
Yeah.
It was just, for all the jokes about Darnold over the years, like, this has been a really good stretch. You just want to see it keep on going and him just be fucking good. Because I was thinking about this before. It's wildly frustrating that you go to like a backup QB like Cooper Rush and you're like, oh, we might be just shit now because he's not that good. There's 32 NFL teams. We don't have good quarterbacks for all of them at all at the best of times, let alone the backup QBs. You're like, we just need some dudes to take that step up. And like, that's why something like you hold Brock Purdy up as like, he's perfectly serviceable. And you're like, that's great. And you're like, it's not great. It's okay. But I'd rather see more dudes like Sam Darnold just stay fucking good.
That's why you get guys like fucking Nick Foles who become like fucking celebrities and like the second coming of Jesus. They built a fucking statue for the cunt.
And George Kittle, the 151 yards that he had, broke that game open. It was awesome. Flog of the week, more old mate, no mates, really. Xavier Legette, the tough drop. That was so tough. Like, I can't imagine how much you were turtlenecking when that was happening, but I'm sure.
What happened? I was like, oh, fuck. All right, we got to march down the field, boys. And then they were like, waved it away. And I'm like, wait, what? And then they showed the reverse angle. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that definitely touched the ground.
It hit the ground. You're like, that is so unlucky, though. Like, you felt like, it's even the sort of catch where you're like, you would be feeling like, oh, I fucking caught that. Like, that was awesome. And then it's like, oh, it hit the ground. And you're like, come on, bro. Cowboy special teams, old mate, no mates, just what are you doing?
Well, I think it's just the one guy, right? I can't even remember his name, but he's like because he was all over the media. And funnily enough, Jim, I had 45 minutes between the game finishing, so I was in the Cowboy subreddit. Like a rookie fucking fourth string fucking special teamer. And you can actually see, if you watch the replay, as it's blocked and bounces, like the Cowboy special teams start waving everyone away because they need it to get over the line, and he tries to save it and fumbles it, and then it's a live ball. So, fuck. Anyway, he's, not a good time.
And the Rizzler, as mentioned at the top, Darren Rizzi, yelling at our beloved Matty Hayball, just get fucked, mate. He absolutely he blew his fucking lid. It's like, bro, you need to settle the fuck down, because so much of that for me is just like, yo, you're the fucking interim head coach. I understand that you're like, you were the special teams coach as well, right? For the Saints. So you're the man in charge. But by the same token, the way that Matty Hayball just handles, like, yep, not a problem, coach. Yep, cool. Alvin Kamara comes over and goes, fucking coach, just off his back. If I was Matty Hayball, like, I'm swinging. Like, I don't care. I'm just like, all right, fuck you, dickhead. Bang. I'm like, I'm out of the NFL. Sick, but I had a good run. Well played to him. But Darren Rizzi, you're a fucking grown-ass man. Just settle the fuck down, dickhead. Just piss off. Anyway, speaking of which, bit of Outback Takehouse. It is Tuesday at Outback, and that means, I'll tell you what, bit of a rare one this week. Tell you what, deep fried platypus. Caught one in the backyard. Don't know how. Just popped up in a puddle. Boom. The baby squid took care of that with a fucking hammer, and off you go. It's on your fucking plate. Only at Outback. And today's Flame Grill take is, the Atlanta Falcons knew that Cousins was cooked after they signed him, Gaz. That's why they went and drafted Penix. Simple as that. And also, Bill Belichick's clearly floating out this North Carolina bullshit to get a bit of leverage and go, hey, you dickhead NFL teams, you better fucking hurry up and hire me. I'm going to college. Outback. I basically believe both of these.
I'm getting fucking, what's his name? What's that old dead comedian? Rodney Dangerfield vibes from Bill Belichick going back to college. Right? No respect. Sorry.
Aussie Battlers of the Week. Obviously, as I mentioned, Matty Hayball getting fucking chewed out by his dickhead coach. Bit of a tough one. Torrey Taylor absolutely smacked. Like, that dude had a fucking workout against the Niners. Jesus. obviously, Daniel Faalele on the bye with the Ravens. Jordan Mailata.
He's mate. That offensive line is just allowed the Eagles rushing record. He's been on fire since he got back from his injury. Like he's doing all right.
BT Dubs, Torrey Taylor, as mentioned, he had 6 punts.
Yeah.
Again, like that dude's just done so much. Wasn't Caleb Williams was like, hey man, you won't have to punt that much this year? And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he's had to punt more than fucking anybody, basically.
Yeah. And he's got more punt yards than Caleb's got passing yards.
That's awesome. I love a good leg pass. But anyway, good job everywhere. Captain Fantasy for this week. How'd you go this week, Gaz? I feel like
I put up my best score of the fucking season in a game that didn't fucking matter because, I've turned my phone off. But Tyreek finally went off, and I can't remember which one of my running backs went off, and then obviously I put 50 points up with Josh Allen. So all those guys who'd been fucking questionable, well, not Josh Allen hasn't been questionable, but Tyreek's been fucking stagnant for half the year since when Tua was out, and it's been a struggle for you, mate, Gaz. And they fucking went off this week when it didn't fucking matter.
Yeah, you won by 85 because Zach didn't set it. Well, Zach had a bunch of players on buys and were injured. So, you got 51.8 from Josh Allen and 23.1 from Tyreek Hill to go with your 15.1 from Aaron Jones and 23.9 from Rashad White.
There you go.
When you didn't need it.
No, exactly.
He is how good's fantasy. What
and then I've stayed through for my I'm going into my dynasty, the super flex IDP fucking dual quarterback with the lowest points for in the playoffs, and I'm going in with a 6-game win streak. So it's a Cinderella story, Jim. That's all I'm telling you. Right? I'm coming to take this.
I actually had to sweat mine out this week because Judo Chop Robinson had CD Lamb. And it was just like, I was up by a fair whack. I didn't expect to be that great this week. As I mentioned, Sam Darnold came in, was fucking incredible. And Zach Charbonnet as well, who I've had on my bench all year, just popped off. But yeah, 18.4 from CD Lamb. And then I think as well, Aubrey had 9 too. So Jez nearly got me. I ended up winning by 6. But it means that the Legends League is just, again, crammed at the top, where we've only got 4 playoff teams in a 12-team league, which is, to be honest, a bit fucking insane. It should probably be 6 and a couple of knockouts. But that top 6 will all be on above 8 wins and essentially playing out this 1 week to decide those 4 playoff spots because Taylor made for a 3-peat, actually got by over 2 weeks till I needed UQB, which I believe is McKeegan. Pretty gnarly. And Ricky Williams Veggie Patch got the win, so they're going to finish the season on top. So with my win over the second place, Judo Chop Robinson, I actually opened up the entire draw, you see. So I'm actually the hero of this. I might have just done everybody a favour by beating Jez, but we'll see what happens. I think I have to play Ricky Williams Veggie Patch next week. So I don't know what I did to deserve to take on the 1-2 seeds in the last 2 weeks. But if I knock them both off, I'm the fucking greatest man who ever lived. Just saying.
Worth mentioning this in the Dynasty League. So remembering that we've got 2 QBs each, we've got IDP. It's no PPR, right? In a 14-team league, so usually the scores are spread out pretty thin. Luke Cripps, the reigning champion, got 211 points. Jim, cop this. 51 from Josh Allen. Kyron Williams, 21. Rashad White, 22. Justin Jefferson, 25. Jamar Chase, 32. Baker Mayfield, 19. And this is all in a dynasty league, so he's keeping these players next year. Okay. Fucking Luke Cripps.
He's going to get kicked out of the Catfish again? What do we reckon?
Oh, no. Yeah, fucking oath.
Go back and play bass in his crap band.
Whoa!
It's all right.
It's not a Horsell Common reference.
That was a bit of a drop, I'll tell you.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Performance from this week as well. Yeah, as mentioned, though, Josh Allen, 51.8, just absurd. 38 for Jamar Chase. Puka at 35.8. Jordan Addison, 35. Zach Charbonnet, 34. Darnold, 34.5. Big week for fantasy. Chaos week for it to be week 14 as well. So hopefully everyone had a chaos run. Righto, let's do it. Week 15 picks. We have 1 month of the season left. We've only got 4 more weeks. Can you believe that? It's just flying by, man.
4 more weeks.
There are 4 picks currently between Gaz and myself across this entire season. Gaz is leading. I believe that's now 108, 104.
Wow, you've brought that fucking shit back.
We nailed this Cincy pick, both of us today. So we split the differences, I think, this week up and down the picks. But we'll see what happens. Now we've got a Niners-Rams game on Friday morning, which is, well, Friday afternoon, but amazing for a Thursday night football game. It feels like they've actually had some really good Thursday night football games this season. Yep. They've obviously gone, hey, maybe we shouldn't just give the networks the shit one because Amazon are now paying through the fucking ass for this. We'll give them some good games, and we all come out winners in that one. The Niners are somehow 2.5-point favorites at home, though, and you're going LA. I'm going LA as well. I feel like the Rams are the substantially better team. The Niners just beat the shit out of the Bears, but at the same time, the Bears were fucking horrible. Like, can they do that twice in a week? I just don't think so, Gaz. But they are at home for a couple of weeks straight, maybe. But I'm going to go the Rams. I trust them. And like the fact that it's 2.5, I kind of like that for the Rams. Plus 2.5, and away they go.
Yeah, I agree. No notes.
Nice one. Washington at New Orleans. I should actually check that these were all done yesterday, these lines. I'll just sort of maybe check them. But they're in New Orleans. So the Commanders, after a week off, a much-needed week off, I think, for a lot of their injuries, go to New Orleans, 7.5-point road favorites. I still think Washington can kick the crap out of this New Orleans team that just kind of stinks, right?
Yeah, particularly with Derek Carr gone. Washington will come back rested and drive this home.
I hate this one. Cincy at Tennessee. Tennessee are 4.5-point underdogs at home. I'm desperate to take Tennessee, but I just can't do it. I got to go Cincy there.
Yeah, same.
Because it feels like Tennessee just whip out some bullshit 20-17 loss, doesn't it? Because our defense is pretty good. And then sometimes they just they get their ass kicked. Other times they stick tough with teams, but both going Cincy there. Houston take on Miami with the Texans at home. 2.5-point favorites at home against the Dolphins. This is inside, so the Dolphins won't be adversely affected by the cold. The Texans just haven't been that convincing, though, have they?
No, neither of them really have. I know Miami's been dealing with a lot of injuries, but I don't know. They've got one of them's got a playoff run in front of them, so one of them's got something to play for. The other one's just playing spoiler. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, give it to Houston for a little bit of grunt. Yeah, 2.5.
If it was any more, I'd probably go Miami. But there we go. Cleveland take on KC. So the Chiefs go to Cleveland as a 4.5-point favorite. This is the same as last week, basically. But they're on the road this time. Jaymz up against this Chiefs defense. What do we reckon here, guys? You've gone KC already.
You just don't know what Jaymz is going to show up. He's going to turn the ball over. We know that.
Jaymz is a chainsaw in a hot tub. Yeah. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. It's awesome. Let's go.
Yep. And I think you like just a little bit more the controlled chaos from KC, and I'm going to stick with KC.
I can't I just can't back that Browns team after they got strangulated by the Steelers. Dallas go to Carolina. You've gone Carolina. I can't believe you beat me to it. That's awesome. I'm going Carolina as well.
I can't
they're 1.5-point favorites. That blows my mind.
Logic dictates that it should be Dallas on paper, but you know what? Just after watching both of these two teams, I'd love to see Carolina get this over the line. Yeah,
I love that. Jets Jacksonville down in Jacksonville. The Jags are 3.5-point underdogs. Just make sure that's still the same. Yep. Can the Jets do this? You like the Jets?
I just don't know. I don't like either of these teams, Jim, at all. And neither of them are consistent. Neither of them show up 2 weeks in a row. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Jets showed me a bit more this week than the Jags did. 10-6 against the fucking oh god.
Oh, yeah.
And it's Giants hosting Baltimore, 14.5-point.
14.5 point. This is fucking
on the road. This sucks,
dude. The only thing the logic dictates this for me is that I just can't see how the Giants score points.
Yep.
Like Tracy's been a decent running back. They've got neighbors like the that motto of the fucking Bugatti in the fucking next to the shithole. And they just can't get in the ball. So even with that suspect Baltimore secondary, I think the defensive line will shut them down. And Henry, you can run on the Giants because once you get through that crazy defensive line, they got nothing behind it. So I could just see Henry and Lamar just going off their heads.
It's too big of a line on the road, but by the same token, the Giants just are really bad. Like they played the Bucs a couple of weeks ago. They got beat 30-7, and it sort of feels like that's much more of this game rather than like the 27-20 Thanksgiving game against the Giants or even this week's game against the Saints.
Yeah,
Baltimore's offense is much more explosive. It feels like so.
Yep.
We're both going Baltimore. Indy at Denver. I'm going to go Denver here as well. We're just going pick for pick. You're going Denver at home. Yeah. The Colts. This is essentially a playoff game. Really, because if Indy win this, they're back in the running. If Denver lose it, then it's going to be a bit of a fucking slog for them to make sure they actually make the playoffs. So I just prefer Denver's defense at home, off a bye, up against the Colts team that's like Tony Richardson is just like, hey, check this out. I'm going to give you the ball. Are you ready? Are you ready? And I feel like Denver's the sort of team's like, that's Pat Surtain. We're fucking ready, all right?
Yeah.
So I feel like the Denver defense is the big difference there.
Yeah, 100%. There's just more consistency in Denver all round. Indy's still a bit of a who knows at any week to week.
Yep. Tampa Bay. Oh, no, sorry. New England, Arizona. My beloved Drake May. They are 6.5-point underdogs in Arizona. I am taking the Patriots to lose by 3. The Cardinals just haven't really been able to do much the last couple of weeks. They should win this game.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Pats will do just enough, and Drake will just do just enough to keep it interesting. So I'm going to go the Pats.
Yeah, I can definitely see your logic. On paper, you'd think Arizona, and then also know what that Jonathan Gannon defense can just play really soft, and then all of a sudden Kyler just goes off his kilter for a couple of drives, and all of a sudden this is way closer than it should be.
Running QBs though tend to have a pretty decent time of it against the Pats and have for the last few years. But I don't know. They should cover. Chargers host Tampa Bay. This is a weird game. Oh, Tampa Bay Chargers, 2.5-point favorites of the Chargers. I think I have to go the Chargers. I think I trust their defense and Herb's a little bit more at home. Tampa Bay on the road, not as impressive, I think, as you're going the Chargers as well.
Yeah, 100%. I like their defense. And yeah, I think they can keep the Bucs under control enough to script this over the line at home.
Tampa desperate for a playoff spot, but anyway. Pittsburgh, Philly, how good is this one? At home at the Link, the Eagles are 5.5-point. That's a fucky line. 5.5. Jesus. That is still 5.5 as well. Ooh, I think I trust the Eagles to just get it done. You've gone Pittsburgh.
I have gone Pittsburgh because even if we win and it worked for me this week, where it was a ridiculous line against the Panthers, who were coming on strong, and that Pittsburgh defense is legit, and I think that our secondary will hopefully keep Rusty under control, particularly if Pickens has got a dodgy hammy. But 5.5 points seems like a lot against that defense, against the Steelers defense. So if we eke it out, I'm fucking Jake Elliott. I'm not real confident in at the moment either. So if we eke it out, I think it'll be within that 5.5. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh.
Just feel like the Steelers have an egg to lay at some point on offense.
Yeah.
And if it's going to happen, it might come against your defense. Then we've got another cracker, Buffalo, Detroit. How good is this one?
Wow.
Lions hosting the Bills. Bills after a couple of weird weeks in the snow and then a massive shootout. And then they go to the Lions. I think I might take Buffalo in this one, but they might also just be running out of gas.
They've been in 2 fucking hardcore games back to back. They are.
I'm going to have to pick Detroit. I think Buffalo might keep this one close, but again, it's it feels like this could be the exact same game as Detroit played this week, where they win it with a field goal over Green Bay. They have a little bit more rest as well because they played the Thursday night game. So, yeah.
But as we were saying, like, you still do have a lot of injuries in that Detroit secondary. But yeah, the Buffalo defense showed that it could be suspect at times, like this week when they get 44 points, fucking dropped on their head. Yeah.
Seattle Green Bay, another awesome. So this is the Sunday night football game. You might remember the Fail Mary. Was that a Monday night football game?
Mm-hmm.
I remember. Either way, absolute chaos. Seattle are 2.5-point underdogs at home. That's interesting. We've got a lot of underdogs at home. Giants, Jags, Browns, Titans, Saints. Well, they're all shit teams. So
yeah,
it makes sense, I guess. Seattle, however, not that bad. I think Green Bay, it's a good for them, though. You've gone Green Bay, Gaz.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, look, I think I'm gonna treat this week as the blip on the radar.
Yep.
Right, for Green Bay, and hopefully they come good. They've got a serious run and a what do you call it? A wild card to protect.
Yep. Green Bay, I think, are just the better balanced team. Seattle, it does feel like when it clicks, it clicks. When it doesn't click, it can just unclick very quickly. That'll be a massive game, though, Sunday night. Then we've got 2 Monday night games, which is random. Chicago at Minnesota, so that's an NFC North battle. The Vikings are 6.5-point favorites. We've both gone the Vikings. That defense should have a fucking field day at Chicago, especially at home.
It feels like 6.5. Like, I'm okay with that being under a touchdown.
Yep.
Yeah.
Could just get a bit janky, but yeah, Minnesota should smash them. And then we've got Vegas hosting Atlanta, which is, it feels right.
Yeah.
So wrong.
Yeah.
The Raiders are 4.5-point underdogs at home, but starting Desmond Ridder. So we've both gone Atlanta. Kirk Cousins turn it around game, or Bijan runs for $1 million on the Raiders and they still smash them. But I just don't trust the Raiders at all. So let's go Atlanta.
Yeah, 100%. So I've gone the same. Look, Vegas, yeah, they're very, very dodgy, and Kirk's got something to prove. Even though I've just gone on a rant about how much I don't like him, this could be, if we've picked, where did we go with LA over Tampa? This could be the get right game, or at least keep things
spicy.
Even Steven and spicy in the old South. I'll tell you what, I'm fucking annoyed though that, fingers crossed, there's a flex coming up, because the fact that Pittsburgh, Philly, and Buffalo, Detroit are on at the same time is not fucking great.
I think they would have had to flex it last week though.
Yeah,
so,
fair.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shit one, but that's still late morning games, I think, aren't they? I think
they're both 8:25s.
Yeah, the Philly game starts a little later, which is cool. All right, there you go. Well, you lead by 4 at the moment. I think we've only got 2 different this week, so
it's going to come down to the last fucking thing.
It is a spicy final month of the season, though, I tell you what. But that's it. Episode 114 of NFL Straya in the bag. Make sure you're following us on Facey, Twitter, IG, TikTok, YouTube, all the good stuff. Jump in the comments, give us a yell, give us a shout, throw in some yeah-nahs if you want. Send them through the old DMs if you need to as well. Get around all the other shows. We've got the AFL Today show, AFLW Today, Cricket Today podcast. That is up and firing. The Aussies in the second test. How good was that one? First one was horrible, but still. Football Today, and of course, daily NBA Straya shows. Jeez. Just working yourself to the bone there, Jim. That's right. And hold all tickets for the GGs. Getting around all of those with a rating and review on your Apple Podcast, your Spotify, YouTube Music, whatever weird app you use on the Android phone. Rate, review, star it, subscribe. Grab your missus's phone, subscribe on hers, your mum's phone, your dad's phone, your dog's phone. I don't know. It does help. Go on, get around it. I don't have to fight you, but I will. Big thanks always goes to House Hats for the intro and outro song. They rule. And that's it. Gaz, what do you want to plug?
Just finalising our bookings for January, Jim, for the Illawarra Folk Festival that the Ramshackle Army are playing. We just said to them, do you want us to play like acoustic and soft? Because, last time we were there was Nana's knitting in the front row. And they said, nah, we want the full fucking punk rock experience. And fucking Matty O's already bought his tickets. He's coming along, going to sing piss with the Ramshackle Army and crew. And it's going to be a fucking good time in Illawarra in mid-Jan.
Nice.
Yeah.
To the point where I might even pop up there as well.
Ooh, boy.
We're trying to figure that out if we can do it, but I don't know how the logistics are going to go.
There you go.
Either way, good stuff. That'll be fun. Well, there you go. That is a fun show in the bag. Week 14 done, week 15 ahead. We will catch you next week, you dickheads.
See yous.
Later,